ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। ॐ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। So today we will study from the 33rd to the 35th sloka of the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So here we will find the idea of karma yoga by keeping our senses under control and by practicing Swadharma. These two are interrelated. That the mind as such cannot remain free. It has to be engaged in certain thing. The best way is to keep it engaged in your Swadharma. Now this Swadharma is a technical term. Generally we understand as per the traditional way of thinking that the Varna, the caste in which we are born, the occupations related to that is Swadharma. But in Bhagavad Gita also it is never mentioned that way. It's not the birth, it is guna karma. That's the thing. It's as per your temperament, as per your conditions in which you are born. All those has to be taken into account to determine your Swadharma. So what the Swadharma is, and based on Swadharma, if you keep your mind engaged in your Swadharma, it becomes easy for you to get rid of the other basal impressions, kama, krodha, all those ripus, because mind has to be engaged in something. And that karma which you are doing based on your Swadharma, that also has to be done without any motive, without any selfish motive. So this is the basic idea which we will find in these three slokas, 33, 34, and 35. So what is the 33rd sloka? First, we will just go through the slokas, all the three slokas, have the literal translation, and then we will go to the discussion, and again finally come back to these three slokas to conclude that what we have discussed. So the 33rd sloka says, Sadrishan cheshtate swasya prakrite jnanavanopi prakriting yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. That even wise people, that those who are wise, they also are almost forced to act as per their nature. We find it in our life that so many things we think is good, some things we think is not so good. We take a resolution that we will always try to regulate our life, what I think as the ideal, but we always find that it's not the case. Again and again, we do fail. We do fail. That's the nature of our mind. And that's being indicated here. Even the wise, those who are have read the scriptures, those who know that what's the ideal way of living is, even for them we will find what's that? That they are propelled by their natural tendencies. Sadrishan cheshtate swasya prakriti. This prakriti is very strong. This prakriti almost forces you to just do the things which you already have resolved that you are not going to resort to. So even the wise people, according to their nature, this acts according to their nature, for that's what all the living beings are propelled by their natural tendencies. What will one gain by repression? Forcefully you have to try, you can never succeed. That in English they say that the most easiest thing is to get quit any of your bad habits, like those who have a habit of smoking. Well, it's the easiest thing. Why? Because I have quitted so many times. That's the idea. That they go on quitting, and again they fail. Again they take a resolution, they quit, and again they fail. That's what it goes on. That I have taken the resolution, so it is so easy to take the resolution, but to follow. So that's the idea which has been spoken of here. So what's the way out? So why it happens? That's spoken of in the 34th. In the 34th sloka, the idea is indriyas indriyasyendriyasyarthe, indriyasya arthe, indriyasya arthe, indriyasyarthe, raga dveshau vyavasthitau, tayorna vasham agachet, tau hi asya paripanthinau. Is attachment and aversion of the senses for their respective objects are natural. That's the way we are made. We will go to the discussions. Just first let us understand this literally, and we will understand that when you are you have tasted some delicacy and you have not seen it for long days, most probably it was in your subconscious mind. You haven't forgotten it. And suddenly you see the delicacy. Even without your knowing, you will find you have started salivating. So that's how the indriyas are linked with the sense objects. The moment you see the object, the stimuli response conditioning is bound to act. So, but at the same time, what he is saying, Bhagavan Krishna is saying, but it is something which is natural. But the next line, as if, is a contradiction to what he has said. Tayorna vasham agachat. If it is natural, that I am bound to act as per the bindings of my senses, then how is it possible? But Bhagavan is saying that you do that. He's instructing, let none come under their sway. Let none come under their sway. They are his foes, his enemy. Now the question is, just now you were mentioning even the wise cannot do it. It is a natural tendency of the senses to be attracted by the sense objects. And then this line is that you shouldn't come under the sway. And then there's a big question that how is it possible? Just now you said this and now you're saying. So when we are studying the scripture, we shouldn't study the sloka by itself. Because Bhagavan is not just saying the sloka, he is just saying the entire thing. Slokas are the things by which they are arranged. So when you don't find a proper meaning, just follow reading. Go to the next sloka. So here the idea will be coming. It is not the question of suppression. It is the question of sublimation by following your Swadharma. So what is that? Sriyan Swadharma Viguna Paradharmat Swanushthitat Swadharme Nidhanang Sreya Paradharmo Bhayavaha. So better is one's own dharma, though imperfect. What is as per your nature, as per your upbringing, what is something natural to you, that is your Swadharma. Follow the course of action in those lines, because as we were saying, the mind cannot stay free. If you leave it free, it is bound to be dragged by the so-called the basal impressions of life. So keep it engaged in Swadharma. Always try to that. If you are doing something good, I still remember as a student, long back, I was a student in a residential school of Ramakrishna Mission. And when we were as a candidate, we were about to give our board examinations. So classes were not there. But throughout the day, we were still in the hostel. Study hours were fixed, and we have to study throughout the day. And we were under very strict supervision. And we have to wake up early in the morning. And then also after waking up in the morning, there was a study hour there that even before going to prayers, first study, because this 3 months is very important for you. And now naturally the students are big lethargic. So still we remember they had that practice that early in the morning, the moment you get up for those students, those are candidates, for them only, there was provision for bed tea. So that you can easily get rid of your lethargy and start studying. There's 1 hour early in the morning, even the prayers, where other boys will get up, other students of different classes will get up, they will go to prayer. Even before that, 1 hour was allocated for that, and we had to study. And for that, as an impetus, the tea was there. But now who will bring the tea? So there was a roster. All the students, that if today I'm bringing, the next day another student will bring. So when it was my turn to go and get the tea, so I found that tea preparation was still going on. So another 4 or 5 minutes I had to wait. And the Swami, who was in charge of the kitchen, he never took class because that was his duty. He was looking after the bhandar. But see, the Swamis are all having that wonderful wisdom. So that 5 minutes time was there. So he said something which I still remember. So what he said, see, the mind can never remain in one place. If you leave it just free, its nature is it will go downwards. So always try to pump, just like the water, it always goes. He gave the example of this pump. The water has a tendency to go up downwards, but you can pump it upwards. So all your this good culture, like study or meditation, whatever you're doing, is like pumping the mind. It helps you to move upwards. If you leave it by itself, it will flow down. So Swadharma is something like that, which throughout all those actions, all the way of living, which is natural to you. Resort to that to keep your mind always in some sublime, uplifted level so that it is not dragged down. And that's the way you should do your karma yoga. Sometimes we are lured by others' way of living. And that is bhayabha, that is dangerous. You should never do that. Though it may seem to be something which is preferable, which is pleasurable, but know it for certain it is not going to be preferable in your life. It is not going to be. So that's what better is one's own dharma, though imperfect. You may think that your own dharma, someone else's dharma is better. We will come to a bit elaborate discussion on it. So I tend to adopt that. So never do that. So then the dharma of another well performed. Though you may think I am capable of performing the other's dharma well, never resort to that. Better is death in one's own dharma. Swadharma nidhanam sreya. The dharma of another is fraught with fear, is full of danger, is fraught with fear. Paro dharma bhayavaha. So now these three slokas, let us try to just discuss in a bit more elaborate way what actually it is saying. So now there are two types of sanskaras. Two types of sanskaras. The one is there is a basal sanskaras from the bacteria till human being. Was the common sanskara that any living being wants to survive and wants to procreate, that I live as long as possible and my life continues to my generations. So these from bacteria. It also, if you try to kill it, it will run away from the toxin which you are giving it. It always wants to survive and it is procreating. So these are the two things which each and every being from a single bacteria. So these are the sanskaras which are very strong. How the sanskaras become strong? That out of necessity, what I do again and again, that creates a path in our mind. In the modern psychology, they speak of neuroplasticity. It is like the wiring of the mind. And once your mind gets wired, very interesting, it's the limitation of the mind. I forget the necessity. Just to do it becomes our obsession. We get pleasure out of it. You will find that in the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is again and again. Many gets bit when they're reading for the gospel for the first time, many will come and ask that why Sri Ramakrishna is stressing so much that Kama Kanchan is Maya, Kamini Kanchan is Maya. If you just see, what he's saying is something really is the fact of life. That without this two, they are the necessity. Without this, life cannot be sustained. Lust and gold. I need wealth for my sustenance. And lust, of course, speaks of the procreation by which the generations are sustained. These are necessity. But as this necessity has been pursued so much from a bacteria till human, all are doing, it has become a deep-rooted samskara. And now we have forgotten the necessity. They have become our obsession. Just doing it, we like it. And all our likings are obsessions. All the liking. That in the modern day psychology, they speak of obsessive compulsive disorder. That sometimes you will find some people have some obsession that they're washing their hands again and again. Out of necessity, if you wash your hands, it is good. But what has happened with him, somehow it has become an obsession. He's just, without necessary, he goes on washing his hands to such an extent that his skin has developed some skin diseases. He goes to the doctor, and on the prescription he will write it's a case of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. But in spiritual sense, we all are the patients of OCD. That's what the basic life is. So these are the basal things which are with all of us. What is that? When Madhusudan Datta met Ramakrishna, Bankim Chandra Sen, Ramakrishna asked Bankim that what are the nitya, everyday obligatory things which as a human we have to do. And immediately he replied, Ahar, Nidra, Maithun. And Ramakrishna was terribly angry. He never expected that answer. He told that if you take radish, you belch the smell of radish. That's what you're doing, and that's what you're saying. As a human being, can this be a nitya karma? Why he's saying that even in Sanskrit there is a wonderful sloka that ahara, nidra, bhaya, maithunam cha samanyam. It is common. Etat pashubhir naranam. Even the animals, even a small microbe, the animals, human being, it is common to all. Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesha. It is the dharma that helps to keep us integrated. Dharma means dharyate iti dharma, that which keeps us integrated. But as a human being, we are the one who can follow certain do's and don'ts, certain commandments. In all the religions you will find, there are the commandments. We have the willpower to guide our emotions. We need not be just guided by our instincts. As a human being, this is a special faculty, the unique faculty we have. We can guide our emotions with our will. We can do that. So dharma, that is the dharma. The faculty to guide your emotions with your will, know it for certain, that's the basic thing of dharma. So dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesha. That's the uniqueness of a human being. Without that, dharmena hina pashubhi samana. Without that dharma, as a human, we are like the animals. Nothing different from that. So this is the capacity to guide our emotions with our will. Everywhere we are doing that. If you just see the marriage ceremony, first there are vows. If you just a game is going to start, the two teams are taking vows. In Olympics, there is vows. The doctor going to start his profession, there are vows. A politician gets elected, there are vows. Everywhere you take the vows, and now you guide your life, your emotions with those vows. As a human being, we can do that. No one creature can do that. And that's the specialty. And now, based on that, let us try to understand what are the two types of sanskaras. One is this is common, this ahar, nidra, maithuna. This is default. This is by default in all of us. But as a human being, we can design. Not all sanskaras may be of default. We can design. These special faculties which we design through our own culture, through our samskriti, all the spiritual values, all the ethical values, all the intellectual traits which we all develop. These are the things which are the special sanskaras, new designed sanskaras. So one which a particular individual has designed and developed through his or her own endeavor. These sanskaras determine his swadharma. Like in this life, most probably I didn't get favorable circumstances to learn music, classical music. But I tried my best. I never became a good musician because the circumstances were not favorable. But this new designing of my mind by trying to just be good in classical music, how it helps? It will be gravitating me in the next birth in such circumstances. Maybe I will be born in a family where my father is a musician, my mother is a musician, there's a culture of music there. I will be born in that favorable circumstances. Now, these designed samskara has become my swadharma, because that has gravitated me into this new type of environment. That's what happens even in this life. From the young age when you're studying as a student, you're good in all the subjects. But your grades, because of your good grades, now you get admitted to some, say, medical college. Now that because of your samskaras, you have got good grades. That's a direct connection. But your sanskaras has never created that medical college. It was already there. It was a collective effort. So your sanskaras act in both ways, two ways. One is it gives you some good inclinations, and another, these good inclinations will be gravitating you to that environment. That medical college was already there. His good samskaras takes him there. Similarly, after death, it is our samskaras which takes me to that environment where now you will find the circumstances are all favorable, and that determines my swadharma. So now I'm getting that circumstances, and based on that, now if I try to lead my life, I can easily get rid of all those basal samskaras. Now, this how these samskaras work. You will find that sometimes you think that I am too much tired of my work. Let me take leave for 2 days. I will do nothing. I will just relax. And if you are having a spiritual temperament, let me try to meditate. You will find when your mind is free, when it is not engaged in anything, that's the time you have already resolved. I will keep my mind free and try to keep it calm. All sorts of quiet thoughts starts coming. Why it happens? You know that from the very inception of the evolution, as that microbe, when we started, what has happened? A particular stimuli, we always responded in a particular way. Why it happens? In Yoga Sutra, they say very nicely that from avidya, the moment I forgot that I am the pure conscious principle, my association with the body-mind complex made me feel I am this body-mind complex, but something was echoing that you are eternal. The real me is eternal. But when I get identified with the body-mind complex, that the eternity, which is the voice of the soul, is being echoed through the body-mind complex. And now I try to, I just confuse. I think this body-mind complex is saying it is eternal. And I try to realize that eternity through that body-mind complex, which is never possible. It's a nature, it's a flow. But this ajnana, this ignorance results in asmita. Asmita means your sense of identification with the body-mind complex. From ajnana comes asmita. From that follows raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. What is that? Anything which is favorable for the existence of the body-mind complex, I get drawn towards it because I think that is my real nature. Anything which is not favorable to it, I get repelled by it or I run away from it. So raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, we can say it is your attachment towards your growth, or the fight and flight response, dvesha, abhinivesha. You run away from the things which is not favorable. So these are the things which creates the basal impression, which is in all creatures, which is in every human being. Swami Vivekananda used to say a very nice thing, that we all tend to find fault with others. And he gave a very nice reason. You know why? Because the so-called faults are actually the basal instincts which are in common to all of us. We easily relate to that. But the good things which you have developed, it is your own. That is not common to others. So we can only relate to others with all the commonalities. If I have tasted mango, you have tasted mango, and when I say mango is sweet, it has a nice flavor, you will understand. But if one has not tasted, can he ever understand my words? He cannot understand. However, I may try to explain. So as these basal instincts are common for all of us, we easily see those things in others. But the goodness which you have developed, I haven't developed. I have developed goodness in my own unique ways. You have developed in your own other way. We can never relate to that. So that's why fault finding is so common. Why we are saying it here? That it says that these are the basal things which is common to all, but certain things which we have designed. Now, when you are sitting relaxed, it's like you are sitting and all these various mental modules, innumerable mental modules with fixed stimuli response conditioning. Each of them have a particular stimuli response conditioning. There are innumerable such sanskaras. In the modern psychology, these sanskaras can be called mental modules, that there is not one mind. There are innumerable minds with fixed stimuli response conditioning. They're all there. They're all hidden in your subconscious mind. And only one can be activated at a time. At a time, there cannot be more than one mental module which gets activated. Now, which will get activated? Is there any commander who says that now you get activated? No. It's the external circumstances that decide. That based on circumstance, that in my mind at present, that there is no desire for fast food, that the children, the moment they pass through this McDonald's, immediately they're drawn towards. The moment they see that, the environment immediately pulls them, drags them. So it is the environment which decides which mental module will get activated. Even in our life, you will find that I am a total different person when I am with my colleagues, when I am with my friend, when I am with my family. I will find that my nature is changing. When I'm with my home, with my children, I'm a different person. And the same person, when I go to my school friends, suddenly I find I've changed. So what it speaks, the environment changes your mental module. The entire world of advertisement is based on that. They will be influencing your psyche in such a way that you are prone to buy something. But actually, advertisement is activating certain mental modules unconsciously, and that tends to you tend to buy. So when you are sitting quietly, that's now what happens. That as per the default mode of mind, these things, all these basal instincts, they're very strong. Even from bacteria till human being, they're common. That's the basis of life. That's why they're the basal instincts. Now you have fed. Now just take an example. When I'm sitting and many birds come to whom I feed every day, if I am not careful, I will find some of the birds tend to just grab all the cereals. The one who is strong, isn't it? The bird which is strong, that will just try to uh, get all the cereals and deprive others. So that happens with our mind also. The one which we have made strong, we have nurtured them from the very inception of life, we have nurtured them. They're very strong. So when you have thrown as if the cereals, they will tend to grab everything. They will be more powerful. So how to avoid that? That's the thing I want to avoid. I have to keep myself in an environment where the things which I have designed, they get activated. Because all the activation of the mental modules happen based on the environment. It doesn't happen based on your will. This is a very important thing. That now after the lockdown, we are requesting that please come back to this environment is very important. You will find in 2 days, you will find there is a lot of difference sitting in your home and attending the class and coming in the environment and having the class. Because the mental modules linked to this, that's when you come here, they naturally get activated. And immediately you get the benefit out of it everywhere. In the school, the same thing. The students attending from their home, the classes, and at school. There's a lot of difference. So everywhere this environment helps us to get rid of these very strong basal impressions, very strong basal impressions. So that's why Bhagavan is saying that Swadharma is so important. This helps us. Otherwise, however you may take resolution, it's impossible. Bhagavad Gita is the most scientific, the way of dealing with the human psychology. That Bhagavan again and again is saying that even in the second chapter we saw that he says those who just feign to be, have renounced all work and just try to meditate. And he's saying that he's a hypocrite. This word he has used. Why? Because it is not possible. You may try again and again. He has used the exact translation is not hypocrisy. The exact translation is that you are trying something which is never possible. It is never possible. That's a mithyachara. Mithyachara, you may say, as hypocrisy, but actually Aravinda has translated it is not as hypocrisy. He told it is not hypocrisy. He is very sincere. He really thinks that by sitting in meditation, I can control my senses and everything. But that is mithyachara. Achara, which is mithya, which is never going to take effect. This is mithya achara. Mithya achara, you can translate as hypocrisy, but that will be a very crude translation. Because maybe that person is not hypocrite. He's really sincere. He really thinks that today I have failed, but again I sit for meditation, I will succeed. He is not going to succeed. It is a mithya achara. He is a false endeavor, the endeavor which is not going to end up in anywhere. So that's the real meaning of mithya achara. That's a very nice way of translation. So this becomes a mithya achara. It's never possible. So what's the way? Don't try to subjugate, sublimate by Swadharma. Now Swadharma, what that Swadharma is? Now we find in our scriptures there's a mention of these 4 castes, Brahmin, Kshatriya, and then the Vaishya and the Shudra. And we find a lot of criticism of this crystallized caste structure in the Hindu society. But can any society be without this 4 caste? That cannot be. As per our tendency, these are the forecasts any society has. You just forget about by birth. If you take the tendencies of the human being, who are the Brahmins? The present academicians, those who are in the pursuit of study, in university, doing research, they are the Brahmins, not by caste. Their profession says they are the Brahmins. So these academicians, the university, this speaks of the Brahmin class. Who are the Kshatriyas? The army is there, the government is there. Any country you go, they have to take care of particular aspect of the society by which the society's integrity is mentioned. They are the Kshatriyas. Vaishyas, of course, is of the business class. Any society will have this. And who are the Shudras? Shudras is the service. You go to the restaurant, those who are serving you, those who are maintaining this your road, park, the work of the council is the work of the Shudra. It's not something inferior. That also it needs particular temperament to do that work. The councils all the work. They're just cleaning the garbages, keep your cities, their roads clean. Everything they are doing is the work of the Shudra. The council's work is the work of the Shudra. Then the government of the federal government is the Kshatriya. Even your state government is like the Kshatriya. The army is the Kshatriya. The university, they are the Brahmins. So that's what has been even mentioned even in the Bhagavad Gita. It's a guna karma vibhaga. It's not that in India what has happened, that was a necessary evil. It was a necessary evil. What is a necessary evil? Why it was necessary, but at the same time it's evil. What has happened? Now you find universities, you find various professional educational courses. In the olden days, it was not there. Now, a Brahmin, how his child will get the education? From his father. There was no such schools, universities as such. The king, his son will get the best education from him. So that became crystallized that way. But that is not applicable to the present society. Even I may be a son of a professor, but the child may feel, I want to be a tradie. I don't want to go for higher education. Scope is there. You can just go to some some educational institutions which deals with that. Though you're born in a particular family, you can choose something else. But think of that olden day society when such educational institutions were not there. From where you're getting education? Your father. I still remember in Lucknow, when I was a brahmachari, we were invited by one famous sitarist. He just wanted to just feed the sadhus. We went to his house and we found a small baby, just a very small child. It was maybe few months, cannot even speak. That he's lying and there is some musical instrument, classical musical instrument being played near him. So we just joke, oh, he must be a very good admirer of your music. He must be knowing. And immediately he told a very wonderful thing. Main kaan taiyar kar raha hu. I am preparing his ear. So that education has started then. He doesn't know, he cannot speak, nothing. So that's the best form of education in one way. As a child, from the very childhood, what's your father's profession is, he's exposing you to that. And that way he grows, he picks up that knowledge. And another question is there, that why it becomes crystallized. Now, in any profession, there is competition. Now, as the knowledge is passing from father to son, he will try his best. This knowledge doesn't go to other because it will affect the profession of my child, because there is competition, there will be competition. So that's how it became crystallized. The Brahmin said the Vedas, others cannot read. He knows, otherwise his profession is gone. If apart from his son, others start learning it. So that's how it was. Swamiji is saying very nicely, it was a necessary evil. It was necessary in that type of society. But the present society, it has already started falling off. The society cannot be controlled by rules. The condition changes it. The present condition has changed. The Brahmin, you will find, is doing some work in the restaurant, or some so-called the one who belongs to that low class, or from very say the tribes or something. They by education are doing some work which is so-called noble profession. Actually, there is no hierarchy. It's based on our temperament. We have chosen certain type of work. And now, as per your temperament, you choose that and do that, and that will help you to purify yourself, to get rid of the basal instincts. Now, the more you keep yourself in a good environment and feed this designed samskaras, the samskaras which you have cultured, if you go on feeding them more, they become strong. Now because you're feeding them, they become strong, and then it becomes easy to get rid of the basal instincts. That even in Yoga Sutra, it's very said nicely that there is a process of transforming the mind. It doesn't happen in a day. That our mind at present is filled with so many basal impressions. It's like a container, a vessel, which is full of turgid contents. Now you do what? If your cup is full of turgid contents, liquid, and now it is already full to the brim. Now if you start pouring pure water into it, what will happen? This turgid, this impure liquid, that will start spilling off. A time will come and we will find that the turgidity is decreasing. It is diluting more and more pure water is entering, it is getting diluted. A time will come, all the turgid contents has flown off. And now your mind is full of pure water, nothing else. So it's a process. It takes time. It doesn't happen in a day. As in Yoga Sutra, they say the 3 states of mind: sarvarthata, ekagrata, and then at last comes nirodha. Means the restricted state of mind doesn't come in a day. First, the sarvarthata, the distracted state, has to be cleansed by ekagrata. That you take one sublime thought, constantly go on thinking. This will cleanse this. At last, this one thought also can be, you can get rid of it by total, complete restriction of mind. That is the yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. We are not going to that. What we're saying is a gradual process. So here also we are doing the same thing. Bhagavan is saying the best thing is follow the pursuit of a Swadharma, which speaks of your nature. With that you do, and that will help you to cleanse the mind. But in the third sloka, he's saying paradharma is bhayava. In the present context, we say how it is bhayava, that as if it is crystallization. Again, Bhagavan himself is saying of the crystallization of the caste structure. It's not so. Let us try to understand that how paradharma can be bhayava with some examples of some case study. I myself have experienced that we all, those are so-called, those who are the educated ones. With your education, you have grown up. So you have both IT professionals, husband and wife, both are IT professionals. But now that is their Swadharma. So they find, they find that in the job, there are a lot of challenges. There is a lot of this politics, this office politics, and they get fed up by it. They both are fed up, but that is their Swadharma, because from childhood they have been brought up that way. Now one of them decide that enough with this work. He finds some of his friend has flourished in business. He has brought some franchisee, and he is now doing quite well. So now he thinks, why not me? So he thinks, let me just try to buy some franchisee and do the work. So he purchases a franchisee. He starts work, and now he starts realizing the obstacles there, because he had no experience previously. What's the biggest obstacle he find? That his friend has flourished, that he have noticed, but he haven't noticed one another thing, that the entire family is actually business family. So there, all the husband, the wife, even the children, all are helping in that business. As a result, what happens? It is my personal experience. I have seen it. What has happened there, that the labor cost is minimum there, because the entire family is involved. And that's why they can think of the profit. But now, this person, he was an IT professional. His wife is an IT professional. Wife continues the job, and he has resorted to this franchisee. After buying franchisee, now he has to hire the labor, all the entire labor. He's not getting the cooperation of his family. And within a few days, he finds that as he is not a skilled person, he doesn't know the ways, he cannot control his own workers. And it becomes almost impossible for him to run the show. Now he's extremely cornered. He doesn't know how really he can get out of it, because he have to again sell it to someone else. So just see how Swadharma, even now, it is not the question of crystallization, that how it can be bhayavaha. Suddenly you find that you are in depth and you don't know how to get out of it. I will give another example that you find everywhere. If you go to here in Melbourne, western suburbs, the city is now expanding. How it is expanding? These were all agricultural lands. And now it is becoming It's the city, suburbs. How? Because the village, the farmer, his son, he saw that in farming, how much he can earn. It's only if you can go to the university and become professional, this so-called, this professional courses, doctors, engineers, lawyers, whatever it may be, that will really that can really entail in the prosperity. So now here also you see that gradually what is happening, the universities are designed in such a way. It's a wonderful thing. You will find throughout the world it's happening. You also will agree that what's the scope outside, they're not judging that. What people want, that's the main criteria. Most probably there is no need of so many engineers, but the university is not bothered about that. They are bothered about what? How many people are interested, isn't it? And now you will find the father in India, poor village farmer, he thought, my son, what has happened to me has happened. Now let my son be an established person. He sells his land, property, agricultural property, to get the money to send him to, say, Australia, to pursue for the higher education. And somehow we find after coming here, they find a real picture. And what is with all the degrees, he's not getting work. And what he's doing, maybe some dishwashing, cleansing something. You all know this figure here. So how can paradharma be bhaya? We understand that the same father, if he would have thought that I have agricultural land, let me send my son to an agricultural college or some horticultural course, let him come back and try to do the same thing in a different way. It could have made a difference for the entire nation. We did not have to sell this land and just, it has become a big problem now. Your climate change, everything is related to that because you're just getting rid of all your green fields. So how paradharma can be viable? Now also you can find out. Everywhere this picture is going on. In America, this economic recession, again, this paradharma bhaya. With all my education, most probably I'm a professor, okay? And then I find an interesting thing that my friend, he has never went through all this education. He has a vehicle showroom. So he has a vehicle showroom and he has really flourished. So this person also thinks, but it's good. Why to just go for this job? Let me stop. Let me also pursue to have a showroom for the vehicle. Now, very interesting. In America, this loan was easily available. Now the things are changing. What has happened? Now he easily gets loan. This man who thinks, let me stop my work and let me get some loan and start a business, he gets the loan and he starts. And that way you will find many showrooms. Now what has happened? The customers are all same. Now all of them, as previously the customers were going to one showroom, now they have been distributed. Now after taking loan, all these people find that they are not profiting actually. They cannot repay the loan. Now it's just, you go back. This, what has happened, the one who is in the showroom, he is actually buying the motorcycle from some industry who is producing that, is that motorcycle. Now, when there are many showrooms, suddenly the industry finds there's a lot of demand because the showrooms have increased. Now, to really manufacture so many motorcycles is not possible for them. With the money, with the investment they have, suddenly the demand has increased. So they also go to the bank for loans. So they also get the loan. And now suddenly they find they cannot sell because they're in the showroom, the sale has reduced. So now they are manufacturing. After manufacturing, they find they are not sold because the showrooms are not selling it. So these are also not sold. They have just assumed that they will be getting the demand. They don't get the demand. And that way, the entire nation is in economic recession. Isn't it? All have taken loan. All have taken loan. The bank collapses. So now you just think when Bhagavan is saying paradharma bhayabha, does it make any sense? It's not just crystallization. It's just not crystallization of the caste system. Many will be reading the Bhagavad Gita and just simply criticizing, oh, it is just Bhagavan is favoring that caste system. It's not. It's a very fact of life that without the pursuit of Swadharma, the paradharma can be bhayabha, not only to you, but for the entire society. So that's the basic idea in these three slokas. What's that? That just left to me alone, I have two types of samskaras. One is the basal samskaras. It is there. It is always there. Ahar, nidra, maithun. No one can get rid of it. And at the same time, with my pursuits, I have developed some good samskaras. And that determines my swadharma. Why not I pursue that? Because my mind cannot remain free. And these basal samskaras are very strong. But still, they can be subdued not by force, but by choosing my environment. Because all the our samskaras are in the subconscious mind. They only get activated only when they get favorable circumstances. So why not keep yourself in such circumstances where your designed samskaras, the good samskaras, they get activated and they get nourished and they get strong. That way it is personally benefiting you, and it is doing good to the society, and it in a way is helping you to get rid of all those basal samskaras. That's how you can easily cleanse your mind in a way which you're not forcing. Now you will understand when Sri Ramakrishna says that you cannot force renunciation. Suppose there is a what you say is a wound, and that wound is now healing. So a scab, first a scab develops over it, isn't it? And now you will find sometimes children are impatient. They try to just scratch out the scab. Will the wound ever heal? It will lacerate. It won't heal. So you cannot force. He's saying renunciation cannot be forced. If it's forced, it's just like an wound, it will lacerate. So don't force it. What's the way out? Don't subjugate, sublimate. Always keep yourself in an environment which is favorable to you. Your samskaras help you to grow in that environment. That way you will be strengthening this designed samskaras and getting rid of the basal samskaras, and that will gradually lead you to the chitta shuddhi. So just see, it's a science. It's basically science, wonderful science, if you try to understand the meaning of the slokas in its proper context. So before concluding, again we read the sloka so that the entire thing gets recapitulated for us. So what we discuss is the 33rd sloka in third chapter. Sadrishang chestate swasya prakriter jnanavanapi prakriting yanti bhutani nigraha kinkarishyati. That even for a wise man who has already decided, taken a resolution that I will lead a life as per this ideal way, he also finds that he is extremely vulnerable. Again and again he takes resolutions, and he finds he fails because the so-called the nature works, all the basal instincts, they take their sway. You can never force. However, you might say that that's as we were giving the example, the one is a smoker, he smokes so many times, he has taken the resolution he won't do that, again he goes back to his old way. So nowadays you will find that in the rehabilitation camps, what they do two things. They don't force you to get rid of your addictions in one day. They will first reduce those who are drug addicted. Even if you go to the rehabilitation center, they will give you the drug. They will reduce the quantity. So gradually you're reducing, and they will try to keep you engaged in some hobbies, good hobbies. What is your hobby? What is your passion? Some good thing. In that you try to divert your mind. And when they find that he is now quite capable to keep himself engaged in good things and gradually has reduced his desires, now he can go out to the society and be a normal person. So this is the thing we have to understand. We cannot force them. However you may try, that even wise men act according to their natures. For all living beings are propelled by their natural tendencies. What will one gain by repression? You cannot do that. Because why? The reason, indriyasya indriyasya arthe. We are built in such a way. The stimuli response is fixed. That I have that has resolved, even here in ashram, that I have a weakness for sweets. So if sweet is there, I cannot avoid. So I have told all, don't bring sweets. So many things that I don't like sweet. No, it's just the opposite. I like. But when it is not here, it's okay. I can still avoid. But if it is here, it's almost impossible. I just somehow tend to have it. So don't be near that situation which will be propelling you to do that. Because the indriya is bound to act. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, that the sensate pleasures are just like the tamarind. Those who have tamarind every day in their food, you need not have to have it in your food. Just it is near you. You see the tamarind, you find you are salivating. So indriya works like that. It is like that. So indriyasya indriyasyarthe raga dvesha vyavasthito. So they have all this fixed stimuli response conditioning, but you shouldn't come under their sway. How is it possible? The next sloka says that Swadharma, follow the Swadharma, don't try to imitate others. What is your nature? Based on that, choose your work, choose your profession, let your passion be your profession. Let your hobby be your profession. Follow that, and that will help you to get rid of all the basilisms. Sreyan Swadharma Viguna Paradharmat Swanushthitat. Swadharme Nidhanang Sreya Paradharma Bhayavaha. Better is one's own dharma, though it is imperfect, than the dharma of other well performed. Better is the death in one's own dharma than the dharma of another, because it is full of fear. That's the thing which is this bhayava. It is full of fear. It is fraught with fear. So that's the idea which has been spoken of in these 3 slokas. So with this, we stop the discussion of Gita today, and now, of course, we have another session. If you are willing, you can attend. Anyone, there was a registration, but it's not that without registration you can attend. If you are willing, you can attend if there's another session.